Much for hopping on. We'll start the lightning round here. Clay Hall, why don't you lead us off? Clay, go ahead.
Thank you, Mike. Ryan, how have you learned to live with the expectation here, and how has that changed, like the iPhone, over those 3 years?
Living with the expectation.
Yeah.
It's funny. I was just telling a story to somebody that after last week, one of the questions I asked was, to comment on the solid performance of the offense, and had to take a deep breath after 650 and 59 points that it was just a solid day for the offense. But it's a good thing. It's what we want. It's we know the expectations are high, and part of being an Ohio State Buckeye is playing in big games. That's why we come here, and certainly there's a lot of pressure that comes with it, but that's what we want. And all you do is you just focus on preparing at the highest level you possibly can. And that's what we're doing right now, is doing a great job with practice, doing a great job with our preparation, and focusing on playing Michigan State. This is why you come to Ohio State. This is why you want to play here. This is why you want to coach, is in games like this.
Thanks.
All right, we'll go next to Joey Kaufman from the Dispatch.
Ryan, with Jack Miller today pleading to a reduced charge, has there been any change in his status with the team or reinstatement?
Yeah, we're going to take a real hard look at that today, and just getting the final details of it. But it looks like here this afternoon, we're going to reinstate him back on the team.
All right, let's go next to Nathan Baird, Cleveland.com.
Hey, Ryan, I asked you earlier this week about tackling, and you talked about how you had done it more in the preseason than ever before. And then today on the radio show, you were talking about sort of backing off of that a little bit in season on Wednesdays. Was that sort of the plan all along going back to the off season? And if so, what was sort of the experiences or data that led you to that change?
I think it's a little bit of a feel thing. We want to do that late in the season typically, but it just depends on the team that you have and, kind of how things are going. We just felt like that was right based on our schedule, based on the teams we were playing. The way the bye hit, it's just all those things you take into consideration. Usually you want to do it in November. It's just a matter of when. We felt like that was the right time.
Alrighty, next up, Austin Ward, Letterman Road.
Ryan, with some of what Thayer and Olave and these captains, Haskell Garrett have given you, who's going to get to go last on Saturday? How do you determine that order for senior day?
Yeah, I leave that up to our operations, but usually it's the captains. And, I got to tell you that, it will be emotional for me because, being a first-time head coach and everything that we've been through in the last, 3 to 4 years here, it's been a lot. And these guys have been unbelievable along the way. Not just on the field. I mean, that speaks for itself, but it also very proud of that and what these guys have done. And it needs to be recognized, but it's just more about who they are and just the day-to-day. And they've meant a lot to Ohio State and this program, meant a lot to me and my family, and certainly forever are in debt.
All right, we'll go next to Tim May from Letterman Road. Tim.
Thank you. I didn't have my finger on the button there. Sorry, Coach. Do you go into a game like Saturday at this point saying to yourself, this guy's got to get this many touches at least, because not you owe it to him, but what the other team has shown, this guy's got to get so many. Do you ever go in with any kind of like what you'd call a minimum quota just to make sure that you're touching all the buttons?
No, but similar though, we always think players. We don't necessarily think plays. That's kind of how we approach it. However, there's certain things that a team will do, for instance, if they're doubling somebody or, blitzing a lot, or, there's only certain schematic things you can do in order to attack that. And so what we have to do is do what puts our team first and puts the team in the best position to be successful. That being said, you try to figure out ways to put your best players at the point of attack. And that works out sometimes. Sometimes, you draw it up, you work it that way, and the ball ends up going somewhere else because the defense dictates, typically where the ball goes, especially in the pass game. But sometimes in the run game as well, based on, RPOs in the spread games. So, we always think players, not plays. But we can't get too caught up in that, because sometimes you can get yourself distracted if you're trying to worry about exactly who's touching the ball and what play. And it's certainly, for the quarterback, he has to just do what the defense says and do what the reads tell him.
Yeah. Thank you, man.
Yep.
All right, and we'll go next to Stephen Means, Cleveland.com.
Ryan, just a quick recruiting question. You guys have obviously gotten into this pattern of starting classes within the state before you guys kind of branch out nationally, whether it's a 5-star guy, whether it's just a 4-star guy that you want to bring in on board. When you start a class like that, what does it do for your guys' momentum going forward?
Well, we've said from the beginning that we always want to recruit Ohio really strong, and we try to identify them early on in the process and be aggressive. And that is our foundation, and it's our foundation now in the program, but it's also our foundation in recruiting. And we try to identify those guys early on, and sometimes we know when they're freshmen and sophomores, you're not always right, but we've been more right than we've been wrong. And we want to find guys that we want to build our team around and build our recruiting classes around. And that's where, boy, it makes it great when you have such really good players in the state of Ohio coming from great high school programs. And that's where greatness happens, is when you can get some guys that you feel strong about, and they give you great feedback on the other recruits and their families that these guys fit, or maybe these guys don't. And so we've been fortunate enough to nail some of these.
All right, let's go next to Bill Rabinowitz, Columbus Dispatch.
Hi, Ryan. I'm sure this is not your focus, and you'll be probably pleased to know it's not CJ's focus either, but he's now a bona fide candidate for the Heisman. What do you think of his candidacy? How strong a candidate is he?
Well, I think, at this time of year, you start focusing on those type of things, you get yourself distracted, as you said. So we won't spend much time talking about it. But that being said, I think his production speaks for itself. I think there's also, he missed a game. There's also some games he was out early on in some of the lopsided games. And, he was first time, he never thrown a college pass going into the Minnesota game. So to see his development and his level of play right now is significant. And so if he continues on the path he's on, then I think he's a very strong candidate. But it's only going to work if we keep building, keep strong, keep preparing, like I know he's doing.
Thank you.
All right, let's go next to Spencer Holbrook from Letterman Row.
Ryan, yesterday we talked to Lathan Ransom. I think he said the word buy-in or bought in 6 times in his 6 minutes at the podium. When you hear a guy like that talking about buying into a defense, and you see the culture that's been built over the last 10 weeks since the loss happened, how impressive is it of what those guys have been able to do on that side of the ball to rally around each other and settle into roles that might not be superstar roles, but everybody gets it done?
Yeah, no, I think it's great. And I think that Lathan had a really good game last week. And I thought really, had an edge to him last week in practice coming off the Nebraska game. And he was defensive player of the week for us. And great to see him playing well. And especially this time of year, we're going to need him. We need him to play well, and a lot of our guys on defense. But yeah, I've been proud of that. This is a big challenge for our defense this week. This is a very good, top 20, 25 offense in the country with a great Heisman Trophy running back. So big challenge. And I think we're, again, further along than we were, about a month ago on defense. But here are the real challenges, and we got to step up and play well. But there's been a lot of good things that have happened, just in terms of chemistry, but also production. We've done a lot of good things, but it's not the best team that wins. I keep saying to the guys, not the best team that wins. It's the team that plays the best, and we got to play our best on Saturday.
All righty, we'll go next to Dan Hope from 11 Warriors.
Ryan, you talked on a radio show about how, you've been talking to a team about avoiding distractions this week. Just, are you seeing the kind of focus, the kind of edge you feel like your team needs to have going into this game?
Yeah, I have. And, you can't play the game on Tuesday, Wednesday, but you can lose it if you're not ready to roll. And I've been impressed with our focus and just our mature approach, professionalism. When you're playing in a run like this, you have to bring it every day, but you also have to, peak on Saturdays. And I think that's what these guys are understanding of what it takes to play well on Saturday, and taking care of their bodies. And that's really what it is. It's a test of who can sustain longer, the consistency. And that's just across the Big Ten right now because of the way the schedule's played out with big games week after week.
All righty, we'll wrap it up with Colin Gay from Rivals.
Hey, Ryan, we were talking with Bradley Robinson yesterday, and I know there's a bunch of Michigan guys on your roster, and I'm curious about him being one of like the 5th-year guys, being from the state. Has he kind of taken control of those, Michigan guys, let him, teach them the Ohio State way and things like that? Because I know there's a lot of people that do not like Ohio State in Michigan. So how has he kind of taken that role as the Michigan leader of your team?
I haven't really noticed that. I know that when you come from the state up north, you have to embrace Ohio State and everything that we stand for, and that's not always easy. You feel like you're maybe in enemy territory for a little while, but then you quickly embrace it. Speaking on Brad, I think he's done an excellent job with the specialist in particular, because we had a new kicker and we have a new punter. And so, those guys are kind of on their own a lot, and they have a different approach to things. And he's been very good about that. I think he's brought them along well, and he's helped with them, and he's shown leadership in that room for sure. I'm proud of him, and certainly, proud of all the guys, who, have done a good job on specialists this year, and again, I think when you think of a long snapper, you don't necessarily think of a leader, but he's done a good job of that. And so we're going to need him to play well, and need the specialists to play well on Saturday.